Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited today. We are recording live here. And, Jeremy, he's been in the game since 2017 in New Hampshire, jumping into Florida, been in 6 other states as well, 6 other markets, over 400 off-market deals. And this guy has a hell of a spin and a twist to the average wholesaler out there. He's not doing it the old traditional way that wholesalers are doing it. So, of course, he's taking down some properties himself, but creative different strategies to be able to lock up deals, not actually have to close on them himself at all, but be able to take it down still and make a hell of a lot stronger profits instead of just an assignment fee. So very cool, amazing techniques that we could all learn from and benefit to sharpen up our skills. And I always love things like this, that you're not seeing this online. You're not seeing this, as the next main thing that everybody's doing. So you always want to kind of stay away from the herd. What's funny is fix and flip, wholesaling, whatever it may be, that niche has been blowing up and so forth. And the old school techniques of marketing, like bandit signs, for example, I've started seeing those coming back and really like expanding and helping out in so many ways. So with that being said, just excited to have you on here today, Jeremy. How are you, man?
I'm awesome, man. I'm very excited to be on your podcast today, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to your listeners, get to know them, hopefully get to know me, provide some great value today, inspire them to take massive and perfect action and go live their real estate dreams, brother.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. So talk to me. Anybody out there that doesn't know who you are, where you're from, do you mind just giving that 30,000 foot view?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jeremy Beland. I'm 47. My wife and I, Shelly, we run our New Hampshire home buyers. You see these logos over my head, in coastal Florida home buyers, along with our coaching business, REI Freedom. We started in New Hampshire back in 2017. My wife and I are a blended family. Right around the time when we started our business, 2017, we were coming together as a family, blending 5 kids and, a different life before then. And we started this business. I was a sales guy. I actually started my business when I was 40 years old. As a kid, I went through foreclosure, bankruptcy with my parents. We had our cars all repoed. I was getting arrested a bunch as a kid, dropped out of high school, had no direction, like troubled youth, found my way into professional sales by the luck of a friend. And, I had some success in that. And then turned out in my 20s, I actually had a good sales career from a kid who came from nowhere. Bought myself a house, was got married, had 2 little kids. Life was great. And then all of a sudden, right around the time of the recession, I got punched in the gut. We put on a addition to our house at that time. We had a bunch of equity. Life was great. I was making 6 figures. And then, I found myself a year later, outside of when the recession hit, out of a job, upside down in equity, couldn't afford my mortgage. And my whole world was collapsing right before my eyes, just like it happened to my parents when I was a kid. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm falling into the same trap. And it was really scary. And at this point, I was like 33, 34 years old. And I started learning about real estate investing at that time, realized that I had the entrepreneurial bug, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And back then they didn't have podcasts like we do today. So my sales jobs, I would go to the library and rent CDs to throw in my car. And I learned about real estate investing and the cash quadrant and stuff like that. So I was starting to get into it, but with the recession hitting the market the way it was, I had to put it on the back burner. I was at the risk of basically losing my house, couldn't find a work anywhere. I was losing everything that I had. And it was a really scary time. During that time, actually, after not being able to find work, because, you're young, but at that time, Brandon, everybody was looking for work. It wasn't just a housing crisis. It was our job crisis. And I couldn't find work anywhere because I didn't have a college degree, never mind a high school degree. So with that being said, I actually joined the military and went into the Air Force at 33, just before I turned 34 years old. They beat the age deadline back then. I was in basic training with a bunch of 17-year-old kids, getting yelled at by 24-year-old TI telling me to get on my face. And I was just like, my God, you're just a punk ass kid. We weren't in this military base. I slap you, but I couldn't because they were my superior. So they were slapping me, so to speak. But anyway, going into the military gave me a chance to rebuild my life. I went in there really depressed, really worked on myself, came back out, was able to build my life back up, getting myself a sales job after a few years of really struggling. But during that time through the recession, because I knew enough about real estate investing, I did not lose my house to foreclosure. I actually had a real estate investor who's on my buyer's list today come and short sale my house. And he prevented me from going into foreclosure. The short sale gave me, bad credit for poor credit for 3 years. But I didn't go to bankruptcy, didn't go into foreclosure. And if those things happened, I would not have been able to go into the Air Force because I was going in for a top secret clearance, and those things won't allow you in. So he really saved me in a lot of ways. He saved me from losing my house, saved me to go into the Air Force, which is something I needed to do to rebuild my life and get a reset button in my life. And then during that time, we had no money. So he was giving us cash legally, hey, I'm going to buy your refrigerator from you. I'm going to buy your shed from you. I'm going to buy your washer and dryer. He was giving us cash. And that was food on the table, clothes for my kids, Christmas gifts. This real estate investor, saved my world at that time. I have no idea to this day how much money he made on that house. All I know is he saved my world. And now I've been able to do that to other people hundreds of times over, and I'm very passionate about it. So, going into my, I started to build my life back up, and I'm going to wrap this up really quick here. So I was getting into my late 30s, and I started seeing a lot of people later on in their 40s getting let go of their jobs. They've been working for a career for a long time. The company downsizes or sells, or they become replaceable. And all of a sudden they're in their 40s, 50s, and they have to start all over again. After what I just went through, the recession, I was like, I can't do this. If the company that I'm working for, I'm doing good. I'm doing six figures, still only kind of living month to month. My 401k isn't doing anything. I want to get into real estate investing. So I started listening to podcasts at this time, realizing I wanted to do the jump, but I was afraid. So for a year, I had analysis paralysis, afraid of what to do or how to do it, had no money. And, I decided that, I'm going to get into wholesaling. It's the lowest barrier of entry into this real estate space. I was listening to Wholesaling Inc. and Tom Kroll, who was a guru at that time. And I love Tom, still a coach of mine today. And I basically took my townhouse that I was living in with my two kids, and I sold it. I lived in it for 2 years. I sold it. It was the only thing I had money in. I made $17,000 in profit. I took $6,000 paid credit card debt. I took $11,000. $5,000 into the coaching program, $6,000 to start my business. That $6,000 bought me my LLCs, my contracts, my marketing, just got me up and running. That $11,000 that I put into the business back in going into January 2017 has generated more than $8 million in gross profit since, and 400 deals. I got my first deal in 90 days, but that whole thing changed my life. A couple years later, I quit my job. Been full-time in my business since. We've scaled, we've gone into different markets, had some good times and bad times, but overall, we've had great success. And I'm living my dream world. I spend a lot of time with my wife and my kids, and we're doing everything that we love to do every single day. Real estate investing, man, is freaking game-changing. It's awesome. I just wish I started this sooner.
Dude, I love it. Jeremy, you got the energy for this. I love it, man. That's a lot to unpack there, but it's so good. It's so good.
A lot to unpack. I'm old. I'm 47, bro.
I love it, man. You got some miles on you for sure. So when it comes down to the real estate stuff, first off, let me back up, because when it comes down to overall getting punched in the gut, right, and going through all that heartache, and when life is going so well and then out of nowhere it just turns for the worst. There's seasons in everybody's life for that up and down. It's a season, right?
It's inevitable too.
Yeah, it's inevitable. It will happen. And so how you kind of pivot behind that is what's going to dictate the future. And some people curl in a ball, and there may be a quick little outing session that you got to go through, but then afterwards, how long you stay in that session, and the game plan moving forward to get out of that so you can move on to something bigger and better. You jumped into the military, right? And you started working on yourself. That was a big pivotal piece that I heard, that I was like, yeah, that, because I remember my down, my rock bottom, right? And I needed to work on myself to be able to get out of that situation. So how pivotal was that for you, and what did that look like? Was it a year, 4 years? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, it was really just 3 months of basic training. They basically tore me down, and I remember that first week I was literally in tears. What did I do? I made a mistake. I left a 4 and a 2-year-old at home. I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm here with a bunch of kids. But looking back after the fact, it just allowed me to go away from all my responsibilities. As selfish as that sounds, I needed to go away for a period of months and just rebuild myself. And that's what the military gave me. And then I went on to tech school. I had a great experience there. But for 6 months between basic training and tech school, I just worked on building myself. My confidence came back, and I just had, I got my mojo back. It was great. And, when I came home after that, I was working in the National Guard and the Reserve. So I was doing my 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. So I wasn't active duty but I had to do that for like 6 years. But, I had to find a way to get back into work. I started hustling, and, it was still a struggle for those first couple of years out, but eventually landed myself a job and worked my way back up. And, and you're right. We all get punched in the gut. One of my favorite quotes, and we have it hanging up in our house, is the Rocky quote from the Rocky movie, where it's like, life is going to, punch you hard, right? It's not about how hard you get hit or how hard you can hit, but how hard you can get hit and keep getting up, right? So I live by that mentality. We say in our company, those who thrive or those who survive will thrive, right? So there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be really tough times, but we have to survive them. If we continue to survive, we will thrive.
Love that. Yeah, that's so good. Okay, so once you start focusing on yourself, started to really improve your situation, I think that angel basically of a real estate investor. Love how you're still working with them side by side right now too. That's awesome. And so he ended up really educating and helping you along the way to get you out of that situation, right?
Well, he was just he was a buyer on a, I just knew from the local REIA. So, I don't work with him today or anything like that. He was just a guy that I knew, hey, he does short sales. Hey, I'm going to call you. He comes out, talks to us, says, yeah, your mortgage company is a pain in the ass, but I have experience working with them. It's going to take time, but I can help you. I was like, sign me up, because all back then, like, we were getting into a mortgage company. We were working through like whatever process they had. Then the mortgage company folded, and then we went to another mortgage company. It was like it was a disaster back then. But he was able to save us. The house actually sold when I was in the military. He took care of everything for me, which was great. I had to give my wife at the time power of attorney. She signed off on everything, but he literally saved us from foreclosure and bankruptcy. And, within a few years, my credit was right back to where it needed to be. It was just more of a speed bump rather than a pothole or a ditch or a cliff.
Yeah. So talk to me. You got into 6 markets. You focused on wholesaling at first because that was like the lowest entry to get in.
Yeah.
What did the education look like for you? Was it books, podcasts, YouTube?
All of the above. So I was trying to learn everything I could back then. But when I got into Wholesaling Inc., Tom Kroll, who was the coach at the time, said, I don't want you to do anything except for listen to my podcast for an entire year. I don't want you guys getting shiny object syndrome or anything. So I did his program, got my first deal in 90 days. We got $5,000, which was the cost of the program. We kicked and struggled and fought our way to 10 deals and $77,000 that year. So that first year I spent $11,000. I already had a 7-to-1 return by the end of that first year, but I had massive momentum, power belief. I talked Shelly into quitting her job and coming on full time while I continued to work my full time, because we're starting to get some momentum here. Then we kept finding new coaching, probably to this day, dude. Honestly, I've spent over $250,000 in coaching. That's not even including masterminds. I'm just talking like coaching to help me build, and then I still listen to the podcast. I read every day. One of the great gifts that Tom told me was like, I want you to read like 5 to 7 pages a day. I never really read until he told me that. And still to this day, 6-7 years later, going to be 7 years in January. It's crazy. I read every day. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. I am all about getting coaching and continuous education, and always just take a massive perfect action, just learning and applying.
How important do you think that is for people out there? Because there's so many people that are on the fence about investing in themselves, or, they want the guarantees and realistically, guarantees. Yeah, exactly. There's no guarantees in life. There was no guarantee that everything was going right for you for so long, and then out of nowhere it turned for the opposite. So how are you going to deal with that?
You can't control the market. You can't even control people. Like, I can teach you everything you needed to do. I can't guarantee you're going to do it. You may say you're doing it, but I can't tell. People say they're going to do stuff all the time and are disingenuous, and they don't fulfill their obligations. So,
Sure.
You can't ever guarantee anything. So there's no guarantees in life. But with that being said, coaching and education is the most important thing. there's 1A, 1B is taking action. Those two things really coincide together. Learn, take action, learn, take action. You can read all the books in the world and learn all the knowledge, but if you got analysis paralysis and don't take any action, that's terrible too. But, for me, I'm almost the opposite. I just go in head first. And, I got people behind me saying, wait, you got to learn something. Like, Lauren, heck with that. I'm just going to go do, and then I make mistakes that way. So it's trying to really find that balance for both. But they're so, so important. And if you do that, invest in yourself in education, and not just like in coaching, but invest in your health, and invest into your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, all those things. Like, you need to be the best version of yourself so you can give everybody else the best version of yourself and be the best version. And it takes a lot of work. I read The Miracle Morning, and going into 2019, it's been a game changer in my life. Morning routine every single day, health, exercise, personal development every single day to start the day.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. So talk to me, when it comes down to real estate now, you're in 6 different markets though. You're doing...
I was in 6 different markets. Okay. We're in 2 now. We're in Florida. Well, New Hampshire, Massachusetts is 1. And then in Florida. We were in Western New York for a long time, for a few years, had a lot of great success up in Buffalo, Rochester. We parted out of that market at the end of last year, going into this year to open up Florida. Western New York is a great market, but it's very tough because it's an attorney state, and it's really challenging. And, we had a great team. We actually had a great acquisition guy out there last year that did 74 deals. And, it was just, but it's really, really tough in an attorney state. We went into Wichita, Kansas for a period of time, got some good momentum, but the guy we were working with for acquisitions couldn't really weather out the storm. So after some moderate success, we decided to close that down. Went into Vegas, did 1 deal, complete disaster, wasn't our market. So now we are in New Hampshire, Mass, which we've been doing since 2017. And we opened up Florida January this year. And, now we have $2 million markets.
I love it. I love it, man. So talk to me, what does it look like in your business? You mentioned you're not the traditional wholesaler. What does that mean exactly?
So, your traditional wholesaler is all about, so we are 100% focused on acquiring properties direct to the seller. That's what our coaching program is about. That's everything we do. We're all about getting better at acquiring deals off market. So we spend a lot of our education, a lot of our resources, a lot of time, money, effort on buying properties off market. But when you get those contracts in traditional ways, you just have a handful of buyers that sign that contract over for some quick cash. We did that for the first year or two. Then we were building up buyers list, and we started getting more buyers, and we started creating a system where they compete against each other. We talk a lot about that in our coaching program. A lot of the local real estate investors actually are now all copy. Like, I laid out the blueprint in New England. Everybody who does wholesaling, how they show properties, everything, they're all learning it from me. But imitations are, the greatest form of flattery. So, as weird as it is, I do appreciate that, because obviously my system works. But it wasn't my system. It's just a system that I paid a coach to teach me. So with that being said, we were just, I was just struggling to get by. We'd get we're averaging like $20,000 an assignment, but it was costing us like $5,000 a deal. And, as big as our cash buyers were, they're always just nickel and diming us. And, oh, I don't want this deal. I don't want that deal. Oh, this doesn't meet our criteria. I don't like that town. I don't like the color of that house. And all this shit was just driving me crazy. And when we went out to New York and we worked with Chris Noggle, we learned about private lending. I said, we really need to learn about private lending. And then we did that. And at the same time, I learned about pre-marketing our properties on the MLS. So our partners today on our disposition side, our realtor and our project manager, Tucker McCarthy, he came on he got his license as a realtor. And I'm like, dude, I have an idea. This is what I want to do. So now, rather than just having our cash buyers list look at the properties, we started taking these properties and we're special language, vetted by a real estate attorney, vetted by the real estate commission here. We're going to pre-market these deals on the MLS. So not only our cash buyers are going to see it, but everybody's going to see it. And it changed us. Between that and having the access to private money to do double closes and takedowns and things like that, we went from $20,000 an average per deal to $35,000 average per deal overnight. And we've been pretty much sitting there ever since.
I love that. So the creative strategies that you guys are using, there's a twist to it, right? So what a lot of others, they're just doing that assignment and then just kind of sending it out. you guys are looking to take it kind of more just locking it up, not having to put anything down, but actually, putting it right back on the market, remodeling or kind of lipstick on a pig if needed, or nothing?
Sometimes not at all. Sometimes we just put it up as is. We'll pre-market it as seen as it is. If we can sell it without putting money into it, great. If we have to put a little money into it, great. Really what came was I didn't want to be a CBE, a cash buyer employee.
Yeah.
And, and then I basically become like I was in the Air Force, something yelling at my TI, hey, go get me a deal that meets my criteria. Then I tell him I want 10. He's like, I'll give you 6. No, I want 10. I'll give you 6,500 or I'm not doing it. Right. And I'm the one spending all the time, money, and effort to get the deal. But I'm also the one spending all the time, money, and effort to get the deal to closing, because distressed sellers have a lot of stuff that needs help with. We're providing a lot of value. There's a lot of time involved, a lot of emotion involved, a lot of resources involved. And they don't see that, and they don't respect that. And I felt very disrespected by cash buyers. Felt like they gave no value. Oh, I flip houses. I am the cash buyer. I am almighty. They're just a little pissant wholesaler. Just give me the deal and go away. That's kind of how I felt. Probably wasn't accurate, but that's how I felt. And I said, what? I'm just going to start taking control of this. I don't need you. I'm going to take control of my properties. I'm the one who built this machine to generate these deals, right?
Yeah.
I built this team. I built this marketing. We bring deals. We're the only successful wholesaler to do this for years outside of a few people in New England. More people doing it now, but for years, we're the only one around. So I said, I'm just going to put it on the MLS. I don't need you guys. And then we started selling it to traditional buyers. Somebody who wanted to fix it up for the first time home, somebody who wanted to downsize. It didn't even matter. There were just people everywhere wanting to buy these houses. Sometimes there were cash buyers on the MLS willing to pay a lot more than the cash buyers who wanted to buy off market. It just changed everything for us.
Now, when the market's going up, it's really easy to do so. But in the last year or so, when interest rates have gotten more difficult, and so a lot of the buyers are kind of out, end buyers, that is, have you seen it more difficult in any form or fashion? Or is it simply because there's still not enough supply to really be on the market?
Yeah, yes to all of that. So, it has been the most challenging year since I've been doing this, for sure. It's not been a bad year. It just hasn't been a great year. So the low inventory has still allowed us to sell houses, but long gone are the days of putting a house onto the market on a Friday, being an escrow on Monday with a bidding war with no inspections and all that stuff. That stuff doesn't really happen anymore. We're giving concessions sometimes. We've never had to give concessions until this year. So some of those things are happening. I would say that our deal size has gone down a little bit on the back end. Our cost for our acquisition has gone up because marketing is really expensive these days. Our biggest challenge, though, really more than anything, because, we've done a good amount of deals this year, but it has gone down from previous years. And the reason why is because there's a whole bunch of people rate locked in their homes. So, a lot of the people we would work with were people who were older that had equity in their homes. The house was in rough shape. They want to downsize, but now they can't afford to downsize because of the rates, right? So they can sell their house, get this, and move into something less for the same amount of money or pay more. That doesn't help them. They need to lower their cost of living and downsize. And we've eliminated almost all of that population from what we used to buy. That was a good chunk of houses that we would buy every year. So now we really just are working with people who truly distress, bad tenants, pre-foreclosure, tax delinquency, people that need to move, tired landlords, as I mentioned, with bad tenants, on inherited and probate houses, really just those. So it's definitely shrunken down from an acquisition side. But I feel as we go into 2024 and rates are going to start slowing down, being an election year, I don't think 2024 is going to be a great year, but I anticipate it being much better than 2020.
Sure. No, I agree. So you have kind of like a step-by-step that you've been able to help out a bunch of people kind of in the past, right?
Yeah. So if you guys want me to talk about it real quick, I could talk to you about a real brief overview of our top 5 techniques for bigger deals, more deals, and less cancellations.
Let's go, baby. Come on.
All right. So the 5 techniques: received ownership, status alignment, overcoming higher authority and timeline objections, providing certainty, handle pricing objections and negotiations with distressed sellers. Guys, this is going to be really informative for you guys to get more deals, bigger deals, and less cancellations. I'm telling you, I'm going to give you a brief overview of this, but listen to what I'm saying because this will help you get more deals. These techniques are focused on building trust, establishing rapport, addressing concerns and finding mutually beneficial solutions, ultimately leading to successful negotiations and transactions. Technique number 1, guys, perceived ownership. This is super important. Perceived ownership is the powerful technique that involves guiding the distressed seller to believe that selling the property to the buyer is their own decision. This technique is based on the principle that people are more likely to follow through on their decisions if they feel they have made it for themselves. We don't want to sell them into doing business with them. We want them to come to the realization that working with us as the buyer is in their best interest. So
yeah, you basically educate until they fully, make the decision for themselves.
Make the decision, right? We're not into telling people what to do. So we actively listen to sellers' concerns, needs, and desires. Demonstrate genuine interest and empathy. Don't pressure or manipulate the sellers into making a decision. Listen, hey, Brandon, you bought cars before the car dealership, right? It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. You're going to the parking lot of the car dealership. You're there to buy a car. You're going out, you're looking around. All of a sudden, the car salesman comes out to you. You can hear him, feel him coming behind you, right? And you start to get tense. And he goes, hey, can I help you? What do you typically say when that happens?
Probably no, right? No, okay.
What? Yeah, I'm looking, right?
Yeah, I'm looking, yeah.
But you feel the pressure of somebody who wants to sell you, and you're like, whoa, I'm just here to look, brother. Back off, right?
Yeah.
So we want to prevent our sellers from feeling that way.
Yeah.
So be a solution for the seller's problem. Identify where you can provide value. Empower the seller to believe that selling to you is in their best interest. Let them come up with that conclusion and realization on themselves. Don't be afraid to fire yourself and back away. Pull away. Be hesitant. What happens when you chase a dog, Brandon?
Yeah, you're not going to catch him. I'm just going to keep running. Yeah.
Right. What happens when you stop, turn around? What does a dog do?
Stop and look back at you. Yeah.
Or chase us.
Yeah.
We want the dog chasing us.
Yeah.
They have to feel the decision to go with you is in their decision, theirs alone. We don't want them to be sold. This prevents seller regret and cancellations. The last thing you want to do is sell somebody on a contract. Be like, man, I crushed it to get this deal. I'm going to make $40,000. I'm pumped to go home, taking my girl out. We're going to have a great pull only to find out when you pull into the driveway, you have a voicemail and the seller's like, Mr. Homebuyer, I'm sorry. I can't move forward with this. Can we please cancel the contract? That happens a lot because they have seller regret. So you may have sold them awesome, but they didn't sell themselves. Technique number 2. I'm going to go through this real fast, Brandon. Status alignment is a technique that we really, really feel passionate about. It's a technique that aims to create a sense of social equality and rapport between the buyer and distressed seller. The idea behind this technique is that people are more likely to trust and collaborate with others that they perceive to be on the same level as them. So we want to be like on the same social level hierarchy. I'm not better than you. I'm not less than you. I feel like, Brandon, you and I, we're hanging out, we're having a beer, we can talk some sports, we're coffee, we know each other, we can relate with each other. We may have kids that go to sports together in town. We want to come across as just an everyday person that could become a friend that they can relate to. And we do this by, finding common ground with the seller. Places, hobbies, job, family dynamics can all be areas of common ground. Establish a genuine connection with the seller. Go deeper into those commonalities and connect by asking more open-ended questions. Build that rapport. You're going to open up more to you about what's going on in their lives where they're embarrassed with. If they feel like they're on the same social level with you, if they feel like they can't relate to you, it's never, ever going to work.
Good.
Technique number 3, overcoming higher authority and timeline objections. This is really important as well. When it comes to negotiating with distressed sellers, it is important to address objections related to higher authority and timeline effectively. By following certain strategies, buyers can increase their chances of reaching a successful agreement. Okay, a couple things here, guys. You must involve all decision makers in the negotiation process. When you're talking to the seller on the phone, is that the only decision maker? Are there other people involved? If there's other people involved, a husband, a wife, an aunt, an uncle, a sister, a roommate, whatever it is, you need to make sure that everybody is there at their meeting and appointment together. You have all decision makers there at once, because if you don't, you're going to get one person on the who agree with you, and the others are just not going to be on the same page. Ask questions how they feel about selling, how the other people would feel about selling the property. Are there any family or partner discord or disputes going on, especially with probate and inheritance, right? It can be crazy. Make sure all decision makers have a clear understanding of all the next steps. Timeline objections are commonly a cover for real objection. What is the timeline objection covering? In our experience, the timeline is I need to sell fast or I need to take my time to sell. There is another reason going on. They want to sell because they want to do it before something happens really quick, or they want to not sell for a while because maybe they're afraid that if they sell too soon, they're going to get kicked out of the house and they don't want to sign the contract because they don't understand if they sign the contract with you, they have to close in 30 days with nowhere to live. So that you always have to really understand the timeline behind things. It will basically open up what's really going on when it comes to objections or why they don't want to move forward with the deal. But two more and we'll wrap this up, Brandon. Technique number 4. When a professional house buyer is buying an investor aims to provide more certainty to a distressed seller, we call this providing certainty. They can employ several techniques to build trust and confidence. Listen, I told you guys about the real estate investor early in this podcast about how he short sold. That guy provided certainty to me. He made it seem like I can take care of you. I can get this deal done. And that's all I needed. Again, I don't know how much he made on my house. He could have made hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't care. All that I knew was going forward with this guy, I felt very certain that he could take care of my problem. And he did. He provided certainty to me. If I felt like he was wishy-washy or didn't know what he was doing or had no idea, was just kind of maybe talking numbers and didn't really understand my situation or care to understand my situation, would have never, ever done business with him. So providing certainty is really, really important. Reassure them of your commitment and perseverance that you're experiencing in the field with similar sellers and situations. Because every seller has their own complexities in their situation. They don't care about other situations. They need reassurance. You help them in their situation.
Yeah, that's good.
Last one, number 5. Handling pricing objections, the biggest one, and negotiating with distressed sellers. Oh my God, this is where everybody falls short, and this is can get really tough. All right, this section, real quick, focuses on techniques of handling pricing objections and negotiating with distressed sellers by providing value beyond money and tailoring solutions to their specific needs. Buyers can address objections and negotiate mutually beneficial terms. Key techniques include extracting a price through open-ended questions, demonstrating value beyond price, and utilizing anchor techniques. All right. So have you built enough rapport? Are you the right fit for the seller? If you can't agree on a price, you may not be the right fit for the seller. Maybe a realtor is. Don't be a deal maker. Be a deal finder. If you're not the best fit for each other, that's okay. There's plenty of people out there that are. Don't make the conversation negotiation about the numbers. A lot of people fall short of this, Brandon. They go in, they're like, hey, I walked around your house and needs a new roof, new kitchen. The best I can do is $150,000. Well, then the guy is, again, feeling the pressure, backs up, says, whoa, I can't do it. Now it's become a price negotiation and everybody's defensive. Nobody's going to win in that situation. So we really want to take it away about the numbers and really where are you guys distressed? What are your problems? How can we provide value? How can we help? That's what sells it. You work out the price on a mutually beneficial price arrangement. But with that being said, you have to provide value. If you make it about the numbers, always everybody loses. All right. So you always want to extract the price from the seller first. Always easier said than done. If you're asking these questions, like what do you consider a fair price for the property? What are your goals in selling property? Sometimes they can demonstrate the value of the property by asking those questions. What do you do if you can't extract a price from the seller? All right, well, I'm going to teach you this one technique. All right, we'll wrap up with this because this is a gold nugget here, guys. So listen, This is my way of anchoring low. If you guys have not read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, you guys are doing yourself a disservice because that is a excellent book about negotiations, right? So
I actually sent that out to my whole sales team for them to read for the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Read that book like 5 times. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to anchor low. I am in the living room or the kitchen table with sellers. They don't want to give me a price. They're afraid if they give me a price that they're going to lose this negotiation and leave too much money on the table. If that happens, more times than not, it's because I did not provide enough value in their eyes to move forward with. So the price is a little bit more important than the value I bring. Or 2, they have just this antiquated thinking that I'm not giving a price first, no matter what. That's just what I've been taught. I'm not going to do it. So it's one of those 2 things. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know what? I'm a real estate investor. I can give you a price, but I want to make money. And honestly, I want to make as much money as possible. There's a lot of risk in this industry. So like, I'll tell you like $1, so I'm happy to give you a price first, but in my experience, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what happens is I give you our price and we've built all this rapport. We've been sitting down talking for an hour and we've become friends. And then I'm going to throw out a number and you guys are going to get super angry at me. You're going to take that remote control off the coffee table. You're going to whip it at my head. Yes, tell me profanity. Get the heck out of my house. I don't want to ever see your face again. I'm telling you, I don't want to do that. We seem to be friends. I'm a nice guy, really, but I'm an investor. No, we would never do that. I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you a number and you guys are going to get really upset with me. And you guys are maybe going to, I don't want to throw something at me, but you may write bad things about me on the internet. I don't want any of that to happen. No, and I do it like in a jokingly way to just try to make light of it. But what I'm really doing is I'm setting the scene. All right. So I'm setting them up for a really low offer, but now they can't be insulted by it because I am setting this up. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Okay. I understand I'm an investor. I want to make as much money as possible. Now, let's just say that I'm happy to walk away with this house at $200,000. I know that's a good number for me, right? I am going to say a number so low that I'm like, I feel physically nauseous to say it. It's just so uncomfortable. And I come back and I say, I don't know, $85,000. And they go, whoa, I would never do that. You crazy? You can't go that low. I said, please don't throw anything at me. I said, well, listen, I'm an investor. I told you I want to go low. I want to get it for free. If I can't do it at $85,000, you're not telling me what you want. What is it going to be? What number works for you? And that's when they come back and say, well, I was thinking like $225,000. Oh, okay. So you did have a number in mind. That's great because it's weird how everybody who sells a car in the front yard puts a number on it, knows what to sell for. But when it comes to selling the house, apparently nobody knows what to sell it for. They don't know the value, but they always have a price in their mind. So I use that anchoring technique to pull it out, and then we kind of work some negotiations from there. But that is a good way to anchor low. A lot of times you get it under that $200,000 number. It's a win-win, but you're prefacing all that by just being silly and setting that stage. And that's a really good technique that works. And that's a good way to overcome the price objection when they don't want to give you a price.
Yeah, man, that's so good. Anchoring is very crucial. It's very important. And when you set up that foundation for them up front, then they are already anticipating very low. So then it's not like a shock to them. Right. You're not going to give them a heart attack. Like they are anticipating
or be insulted.
Yeah. So it's like you're setting them up for those numbers initially so that you can get to a real price point sooner than later, which is great. Yeah.
And then we try to never split the difference.
Yep. I love it. I love it, baby. That's awesome, man. So talk to me. What does the future look like for you guys? You guys are doing amazing things right now, growing, scaling.
So, we're building house buying businesses. We just hired down in Florida a second sales guy. We are on the scale mode and grow mode in both of those. We built our REI Freedom Coaching Program where we teach a lot of techniques that I just went over at a much more in-depth role. We have Dan, our sales coach, who's amazing. He's done 600 deals himself personally. He just locked up 5 deals last week and this week still actively as an acquisition manager. So, we're focused on, building out a coaching program, and a lot of our students are having a lot of success already, even though we're relatively new. And just, this is what it's about. Building our coaching program, building our businesses. We do what we sell in the coaching business and teach others to do. We're doing it all together, having a lot of fun, changing lives, paying that thing forward that short sale investor did to me many years ago over and over again. We live life on our own terms. We all work from home. We have tons of flexibility. It's REI freedom, man. Real estate invested freedom. That's what we do.
I love it. I love the logo too, man. That's awesome.
Hey,
that's very cool.
Walk it up, baby. That's what I don't
lock
know.
It up.
Yeah. Yep. Hashtag walk it up. Everybody's always like, well, what's a good price? I'm like, I don't care what the price is. Go walk that baby up as low as possible. Let's just go in and find out.
Yeah. Let's figure it out. Yeah. You got to lock it up. If it's not in contract, it's not nothing. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's good, man. Well, Jeremy, man, this was powerful. You just poured in a bunch to me and the listeners. Anything that we could do to give back to you?
I don't want anything back in return, brother. I'm really happy to be on your stage today and your platform. I really greatly appreciate it. If anybody wants to reach out to me, just get on Facebook because I know we're there today, right now. join our REI Freedom Facebook group. We're a growing community. Me and Dan do a lot of live free training there regularly and try to provide a lot of value. It's not a group that's going to be solicited with deals and stuff like that and people selling stuff. It's really like, come here and let's all help each other learn and grow so we can be, freedom fighters and live in REI freedom lifestyles. That's what we're all about, brother.
But man, Jeremy, how can people get a hold of you?
That's it. Facebook, REI Freedom. Go into that group, tag me, reach out to me. I talk to people all day, every day, providing them value to help them get on their way to success. I'm very happy to do that. Dan is too. Listen, guys, really reach out to us. We're happy to talk to you and help you on your journey.
Love it. Yeah. Well, guys, you're going to want to do that. Reach out to Jeremy and Dan on the Facebook group. Just a wealth of knowledge. They're actively doing it and can lead by example, and you guys can learn a ton from them as well. So I hope you found tons of value in this one like I have. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get the newest notification every Monday when the episodes drop. Leave that 5-star review. Greatly appreciate all the love, all the support recently. You guys are amazing. And if you haven't left that 5-star review, do that today.
Do it now. Be in action.
Do it now. Do it now. Come on. And then if you want to get a hold of me, you could do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments. Otherwise on Instagram as well, Credit Counsel Elite. If you want to get a hold of me on Facebook, facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. And then on Credit Counsel Elite, if you haven't already checked out what we can teach you how to do, we're teaching business owners just like yourself how to get up to $500,000 every 6 months at 0% interest. Yeah, baby, getting a ton of funding so that you can grow and scale your company. So if you haven't already, watch our 10-minute video to answer a bunch of your questions. You'll have a lot of new questions. You can sit down to get a second opinion with our team, and you should do that today. So by all means, check out creditcounselelite.com. That's www.creditcounselelite.com, and we will see you on the next one. Till next time, guys. God bless. Jeremy, appreciate you, brother. Happy holidays, man.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.